So, all right. So my talk kind of started off about what is a day, and I want to kind of deal with a little bit as far as what the text say and what is written, and not what I have to say exactly. I used to have the take that 6 p.m. started a day because I was taught that by my elders, my fellow Israelites, but now I see it different. And I believe Yah has shown me this, so I'm gonna go with it and share what I perceive to be the truth. Of course, I'm willing to have anyone come in and say something different and show me something different, but I'm gonna use the text. And so let's get it started. So where I'm gonna start off with is at the beginning. Let's start off and share the screen and go to Bereshit or Genesis and just read a little bit. And I'm gonna try to read it slow so that it has its full effect. So, can you see that elder on the screen?
I think it's loading.
Okay, let's see. Is it? Let's see. It's, oh my goodness! Let me stop the sharing and come back. And see if I can get it.
It just loaded when you
See that patience. There you go.
that.
All right. Okay. So it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, and the earth came to be formless and empty. I'm using the scriptures version 2009. And darkness was on the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. So that right there is important to me. He separated the light from the darkness. They separate now. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening. And I think you were a teacher, right? Or a principal, right?
Both. Yeah.
Okay. So, and does that mean it's added information? Or is there a pause there? Should be off the and, or what does and usually mean?
It's a conjunction, connecting two clauses, usually meaning that they're both true, correct. That's my understanding.
Okay. And say, and there came to be morning one day. So a lot of people will have concluded that, okay, evening and then morning is one day. But when you look at evening time, when evening starts and then comes to morning, that period of time, when evening start to the morning, is all nighttime or dark time. Is that correct, or do you disagree with that?
I'm thinking, what's our common connotation of evening? Uh, Evening start at 6, what we call 6 p.m.
Or
Sunset when it's dark.
when it starts to be dark.
That's what I would say when it
Okay.
starts.
So
Probably
so
more like
so so
sun.
so the time period that it starts to be dark to the time to period that it starts to be light. So in between those start to be dark and end of dark, what's in between that?
Yeah, darkness.
Okay,
When it's dark into the morning, we're basically talking night and darkness.
darkness. So that period there, is that a 24-hour period?
No, it's not a 24-hour period. But when you say morning, what do you consider to be morning?
Morning would be when the light starts.
Okay.
And
But
so in between there would be,
so now, what is the common connotation here where we are? Is it a common connotation that morning is until noon, actually?
but even at noontime, it's still light, right?
There's light. That's my point, really.
Okay. So what was the beginning of that what well that verse, even though there wasn't a verse, it says that the light and the darkness were separated from another. So the light is one whole thing and the darkness is one whole thing.
Agreed, right.
So that period between evening and morning, between there, is one thing.
Okay, so you get it. Your point, I think, is that from when it's dark to when it's light is one thing, one part,
Mhm.
and when there's light, there's a second part. With
Yep,
you on that,
they're two separate things. They're
right?
you have dark and light because they're separated from one another.
Right.
So I'm just identifying that it's two separate things, and that
Agreed.
the period of dark is not a whole day, and the period of light is not a whole day, but together they make a whole day.
I see your point. I see your point.
Okay. And Elohim said, "Let the expanse." So this is after morning came about, right? And Elohim and expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And Elohim made the expanse and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it came to be so. And Elohim called the expanse heavens, and there came to be evening. So came to be evening. We said that morning had started. So morning to evening is now that light period again, right?
Okay.
All through that light period, there was work going forth.
I can go with that. Go on.
And there came to be evening. And now it says, and there came to be morning. No work again. Nothing, no work is being mentioned from between that evening and there came to be morning. That's night again.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it just comes to me that was there mention, and I know of course there was work going on doing both, one or both, but is there mention that work was happening during the day and not the night?
Well, when
Just
we when we when we go to end of 5, we see that it came to be morning, and the next thing you see mentioned after that morning is work occurring, and that work doesn't conclude until the next time you see it came to be evening. So after morning was mentioned, there's some work that happens, and then eventually it gets to the point that says, and there came to be evening. And then the next thing said after evening is no details of any type of work, but the next thing comes after that is morning again. So in between morning and evening, there's a whole lot of work. But in between evening and morning, there's no work. So morning, between morning and evening, morning starting and evening ending, there's a whole lot of work. But then when evening comes until the next morning, there's no work. Nothing mentioned.
that seems to be the implication. Yeah.
And so when you get to this one right here, it came to the evening and there was morning the second day. So notice how it just jumped and says the second day. So the second day, the conclusion of the second day happens to be when it gets to morning.
Okay.
not at evening, but it says came to be evening, and there came to be morning the second day. So the day concluded and moved into the next day at the start of morning.
I see your point.
And now let's see here at 9. And Elohim said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together and into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the dry land earth. So this is again after morning started. We're seeing again work occurring again. And the collection of the waters he called seas, and Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the plant that yield seed, and the fruit trees that yield fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so. And the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And then there came to be evening again. But
And again,
that's not where that's when the work stopped, but that's not where the talk stopped. And it said there came to be morning, third day. So the conclusion of it getting to morning, the third day is done. Now work starts again at the start of morning. So when morning comes, a new start.
okay. I don't get.
I'm a shift. I'm a shift. I'm a since I'm a shift. Let's go over here to Matthew, and I'm gonna go to something that most of us should have awareness of that came through Christianity. Let's deal with the resurrection.
Okay, before you go there, where is the explanation that the evening? Because it says the evening and the morning were the first day, second day, etc. To me, that's saying that that day consists of evening and morning, and the whole period that makes the day.
And I have no argument of it. I'm just arguing with the order of how they're given. See, most people have been taught by I guess the Ashkenazis or the Ish people that our day starts with the evening. That it starts with the evening. But as we were reading there, you see that work stopped at evening, but it didn't get to the next day until the evening connected with the morning. And then that's when the next day started after morning started. It says eve till the morning, and then third day. So that was the conclusion. That period of evening, not the start of evening, but the whole period of evening is what concluded the end of the day.
I see what you're saying. And I'll go back and look at that. But again, they're saying the evening and the morning is the day.
Evening and the morning, but is it saying the whole morning?
When we're talking about before there was even a sun and moon in the sky, also. But anyway, let's go.
Go ahead.
Day goes from evening to evening.
I clearly noted that he separated the two, and so that's when the significance come into play. Because yes, everything started off with darkness that we dealing with, but I don't even believe that was how it was, because he found the earth. If you go back to that beginning, after it said in the beginning he created the heavens and the earth, it seems to me that there's a break there, because it said the earth came to be formless. So there was something going on here before it came to be formless. And so, of course, we're recognizing darkness first, but that wasn't first. In the beginning created the heavens and the earth was actually first, and then they came to be formless. So a lot of people want to put darkness to be first in the equation because that's what we've been taught. And I'm one that believes that the people who got a hold of our book, our cultural and heritage book, have done things to this book to make it read a certain way so that we don't pull out what we should be pulling out from the information. And that's why I wanted to show you, go over to Matthew to show you some stuff that kind of contradicts some of the stuff that they taught us.
I
Because
agree with your perspective on that. And that formless, there's a chain of belief that there was an existence before the earth was in another form. But I've seen from Facebook your stance on this, and so I'm going to just yield
no, I'm
and
saying I want to hear your point because I'm not arguing with you because I don't want you to believe it because I say it. If you don't get it from the Ruach and you don't get it yourself, you're not supposed to get it then. And I'm like, because I'm just saying, I know that you're somebody I can talk to because a lot of folks have it set in their mind. This is the way it is because this is how somebody told them. And if a lot of the stuff that we got, if somebody else would have told us something different first, that would be what we hold as our foundation and our standing point. And the way we read this, of course, we know it wasn't English that it was originally given. And so you being a teacher as well as a principal, you know that the way you say English, you can make a sentence that says one thing, the way you speak it, the inflections to mean something different. You know, it can mean something different. You know, a lot of the words and phrases, if I was to say, man, I was killing that dude, if you don't have the full context, you could think that I was murdering him, but I'm playing basketball. I was killing this dude. It's a lot of different things that come with the connotations of how you say it, the expressions that you say, how you say it. If you slow up and use the punctuation correctly or not, you can put punctuation in something that does not have it and it change what it says, or you can take it out and it says something different. And of course, Hebrew doesn't have a lot of these different punctuations that they've added, doesn't have chapter marks as well as verses either. So it's a lot of stuff that you can manipulate if you know what you're doing or if you know what you're seeking to have it say.
exactly.
So I don't want to be the one doing that. I don't want to manipulate it. It's not something I put together, but I'm just like, okay, if Yah doesn't change, there should be some consistency. So I'm showing you this part right here, and then I'm gonna go further and show you some stuff and ask you some questions and let you come with your own conclusion. Because there's some things that they're just like, okay, because like most of the time when I ask people about the work being done in the evening, people are like, what made you even think about that? And I'm like, because the way I read it, somebody else don't read it like that. Being somebody who end up working third shift, it's like my mind can conceive working third shift, but I'm pretty sure back then a lot of them didn't concede even working at night. That was not something that was a normal, but now it's a normal. So of course, my influence now, this is something they taught in Bible college, to not let your current influence influence what the writer would have meant. And I believe that a lot of us have been taught to let what our feelings and everything else to influence what we're reading, and that's bad. But I'm running. Go ahead.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Since I know you are a scriptural based person and that you're going to use scriptures to show whatever you talk about, that's what I'm saying. And I want to hear that.
Okay.
But to or that there's a group out here, a religious group, who do what you were saying, even on when the Messiah said, "Today you will be with me in paradise," placing a comma where they want it to change the meaning totally.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm wanting to hear from you.
Okay.
That's what Matthew.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to Matthew 28. And so the accounting of the what they call the gospel or basora, they all seem to be different. But I say this because of, again, translation. But here go. It says, but late in the Sabbath. Late in the Sabbath. So I conclude that to be at the very end of the Sabbath, or when the Sabbath is about to conclude. As it was dawning into day one. So 6 p.m. is nowhere near dawn.
Okay.
Okay. Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. Okay. If they came at evening or as evening was approaching, it still would be light out. Right?
Makes sense.
And see, there was a great earthquake, for a messenger of Yahuwah came down out of heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. And his appearance was like lightning, and his garment as white as snow. And the guards trembled for fear of him and became like dead men. And the messenger responding said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Yahusha, who was in Paul. He is not here, for he was raised, and he said, come, see the place where the master lay. So again, if he was gone, he had to be gone prior to that moment. So that means he was gone on the Sabbath, but Christianity teaches that he rose on the first day. But
That makes
go ahead.
no, that makes sense. I was going to say, just say that makes sense, Sean. Go on.
Okay.
Again, I'll go back and study.
Okay. And he quickly said to his taught one, oh, okay, and say he is not here, for he was raised, and he said, come see the place where the master lay, and and go quickly say to his taught ones, to his disciples, that he was raised from the dead, and see, he is going before you to Galilee. There you shall see him. See, I have told you. And they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and ran to report to his taught ones. So they ran to his disciples. And as they were going to report to his taught ones, see, Yahusha met them, saying, greetings. And they came and held him by the feet and did bow to him. Then Yahusha said to them, do not be afraid. Go report to my brothers and go to Galilee, and they shall see me there. And while they were going, see, some of the watch, so some of the guard, having gone into the city, reported to the chief priests all that took place. So these were the watchmen or guards reporting what they seen. And when they had come together with the elders and taken counsel, they gave enough silver to the soldiers, saying, say that his taught ones came at night and stole him away while we slept. So if they are coming late in the Sabbath, and that means the Sabbath ends at 6 p.m., when was the prior night? If they took him at night, when was the prior night?
Well, obviously it would have been the night before, but you saying if that night was on the Sabbath.
It says, but late in the Sabbath. So at the end of Sabbath, if the end of Sabbath comes at 6 p.m., but the guards say he was stole the prior night, so that means morning it would have been before morning occurred, because night hasn't approached yet. If 6 p.m. is when night starts, or when it's night, if it's 6 p.m. the night and he got stolen at night, night ain't even here yet because it's late in the Sabbath. So that means he had to been got prior to morning. Does that sounds kind of interesting? But if night was before morning time, so from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., it could have been any time within there, and that would be within the realm of time, close proximity to right where all of this is happening. It could be all in a set time, but if it happened way prior, what was those guards doing all of that time that they're guarding, and he's supposed to have been taking the night prior? That, and then what happened to the 3 days then? You know, because you're going back. If it's coming to the end or coming to 6 p.m. and he had to be taken before morning, you done took a whole nother 12 hours away. Something is not mathing. It's not mathing if you're using the 6 p.m. time. Something is missing there. And okay, I'm gonna go over to Mark and see his recollection of the thing. And it says, and when the seventh Sabbath was passed. So the other one said the Sabbath was coming to a close, but it said when the Sabbath was passed in Mark. So, okay, Sabbath was passed. That means after 6 p.m. if you're going by that. And early on day one. So early on day one, if the day starts at 6 p.m., early on the day one would be around that 6 p.m. time. It'd be like between 6 and 7 would be early on day one, if that's the time. They came to the tomb when the sun had risen. But hold on, 6 p.m., the sun is going down. If you're going by the day starting at 6 p.m., when the sun had risen, either they messed up in their translation or something's not, it's not mathing. Very early on day one. If early on day one is at 6 p.m., the day starts at 6 p.m. Early on it would be close to that 6 p.m. It wouldn't be near where the sun had risen at 6 a.m. because it said the sun had risen. It had already risen. So that would make it after 6 a.m. and that would make it past the midpoint. And how can that be early? It's closer to the end than it is to the beginning if 6 p.m. is the beginning. Am I off, or am I making any sense? I'm not wanting you to accept what I'm saying, but I'm just saying from what I'm reading here on the text, is it causing any questions or any thought?
You're making sense with the assumption that that you've made.
Oh,
that
okay.
That the day is not 6 p from 6 morning to morning. So yes, just go on.
I believe it is from morning to morning. Honestly, morning to morning would be a 24-hour span from morning to morning. I don't think it's I don't go ahead. I mean,
any given time, 24 hours later is going to be 24 hours from midnight to midnight, from noon to noon.
Yeah, but I'm saying if 6 p.m. was the start, though, it would be 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. But then it said early in the day on day one, and it said the sun had already risen. So if 6 p.m. was the start, early would be closer to 6 p.m. than, and if 6 a.m. is when the time of the sun rising, and it said it had risen, it would have to be after 6 a.m. And so
Okay.
after 6 a.m. is not close to 6 p.m. at all. Not, that's a distance. That's 12 hours plus that has occurred. So out of a 24-hour cycle, that could not be early in that 24-hour cycle, because you've already went past the halfway mark of 12 to get to the sun had risen, is what I'm pointing out. The math ain't mathing if you start at 6 p.m.
I see what you're saying, and I understand your reasoning,
Okay.
but I'm going to listen.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. I'm not, because I'm not trying to have you just. I respect that you're not just agreeing, because that I respect that. Okay. Okay. And they said among themselves, "Who shall roll away the stone from the entrance at the tomb for us?" And looking up, they saw that the stone had been rolled away, for it was extremely large. So they came, and it was already rolled away. And having entered into the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right, wearing a white robe, and they were greatly astonished. And he said to them, "Do not be much astonished. You seek Yahusha of Nazareth, who was impaled. He was raised. He was raised. So he was already done, gone. He is not here. See the place where they laid him, and go say to his taught ones and Kepha that he is going before you into Galilee. You shall see him there as he said to you." So this is the similar accounting to what was said in Matthew. And they went out and fled from the tomb, and were trembling and bewildered. And they spoke to no one, for they were afraid. And having risen early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Miriam from Magdala, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She went and reported to those who had been with him, mourning and weeping. So just, it was supposed to be risen early on the first day. That 6 p.m. time would say, okay, okay, yeah, that would be closer to when it's starting to get dark if you use the 6 p.m. But that would conflict with the sun had risen. It would conflict. All right, let's go to Luke and say, but on day 1 of the week, at early dawn, the writers of the Bible either have different things going on or something, but now it's saying at early dawn. So it's saying that it's at morning. They came to the tomb. So they come in right when daybreak or when sunrise is going to occur. They considering that early, not 6 p.m., but dawn. They came to the tomb bringing the spices which they had prepared, and they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. And having entered, they did not find the body of the master Yahusha. And it came to be, as they were perplexed about this, that see, 2 men stood by them in the glittering garments. And becoming frightened and bowing their faces to the earth, these said to them, "Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but he has been raised up. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, saying, the Son of Adam, Son of Man, has to be delivered into the hands of sinners and impaled, and the third day rise again. And they remembered his words, and having returned from the tomb, they reported all this to the 11 and to all the rest. And it was Miriam from Magdala, and Johanna, and Miriam, the mother of Jacob, and the rest of them who told this to the emissaries. And their words appears to them to be nonsense, and they did not believe them. But Kepha arose and ran to the tomb, and stooping down, he saw the linen wrappings lying by themselves, and he went away home, marveling at what took place. And see, two of them were going the same day to the village called Emmaus, which was 60 stadia from Jerusalem, and they were talking to each other all this which had taken place. But anyway, let's go over here to Yohanan. And it says, on day 1 of the week, Miriam from Magdala came early to the tomb while it was still dark. That's key. It was still dark. Oh. If you come at 6 p.m., it would be just getting dark. It would not still be dark. It would already have been light and started to getting dark. It would not have still be dark. It would be just becoming dark if it's early. And saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. So she ran and came to Shimon, Kepha, and to the other taught one whom Yahusha loved, and said to them, they have taken the master out of the tomb, and we do not know where they laid him. Then Kepha and the other taught one went out, and they were going to the tomb, and the two were running together. But the other taught one outran Kepha and came to the tomb first, and stooping down, he saw the linen wrappings lying, but he did not go in. So, basically, all of the recollections have him coming early on the first day, or either at the end of the Sabbath. So the time frame for the end of the Sabbath or early on the first day are right next to each other. But they came early. They came at dawn. Well, I don't know. It seems clear to me, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I just wanted to just talk on that because it it the text says what it says, but I guess I can make it imply what I want to. I'm not trying to manipulate it. So if a person doesn't receive it and don't get it and they don't see it as such, I'm gonna leave it alone. But Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. I thank you for this opportunity to just talk with my elder. I appreciate him so much. Thank him for his time. Thank him for just edifying with me. Love him, appreciate him, always enjoy our conversation. May he be fruitful in all his endeavors. May you watch over his health, his well-being, and also bring forth favor to his household. May the words of his mouth be edifying towards you, but also bring forth clarity and comprehension of who you are to those that he speaks. I thank you for the Shabbat, and let us go forth in your will always. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna stop the stuff, and if you want to talk still, we can talk.